Boom! There you go. It was a fun weekend in the F1, right? Everybody had fun with the race. There was everything, accidents, overtakings, safety cars at the end that changed everything. So let's jump into the start of the Grand Prix that led to this incident where Gasly got between Joe and Russell. Russell didn't see Gasly apparently, he went to the left. And we all know what happened, right? Guan Yu Zhou upside down. For some reason, I don't know if you noticed, but F1 cars have this thing over the heads that in theory helps to cover their head when they roll over. But in the case of Guan Yu Zhou, that part got destroyed. I don't know how the FIA allows a car to have these kind of situations. But without the halo, probably Guan Yu Zhou would have either dead or a serious injury in the neck, because the head would be touching the floor and would be supporting the whole weight of the car. You can see here, he jumped over the tires and ended up here. Usually you don't see these kind of situations in an F1 car, right? But you saw it this weekend. And thankfully, everybody was okay. George Russell went to help him. You can see here how everything was. He went a lot of meters upside down. And this is the other accident that happened in the first corner that developed into other small accidents. I think this is Alexander Albon was braking to avoid all the accident that was happening in front of him. Vettel couldn't brake in time. You know, they go really quick. In the exits, you can see also here Ricciardo braking and Ocon that got hit by Albon, that went into the wall, and then, like as he was crossing the track, hit Ocon. Ocon made it to the pit lane, and Alpine could fix the suspension. As you can see here, it's broken. George Russell went to aid Guan Yu Zhou. He got off the car. He could have also driven back to the pits, but he didn't. Apparently they took the car to the pits on a truck, but the FIA didn't allow him to start the second race, which is this one. The first start, Verstappen overtook Sainz because Sainz was with mediums, Verstappen was with softs, had a better start. He was ahead. Hamilton also overtook both Ferrari and Red Bull, Perez and Leclerc, and he got third. This is the second start where things got a little bit different. Red Bull changed from softs to mediums. In Verstappen, as you can see, the advantage was not as such. So, despite the fight, Sainz was able to keep the first position. You can see actually here, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corner, fifth corner. Everybody was fighting for it. Leclerc in the inside of Perez, that was inside of Sainz, that was inside of Verstappen. So 4 cars that don't fit in the corner. So obviously Leclerc got his end plate damaged in the front wing, and I think Perez also got something damaged in his car. And Norris and Hamilton had some nice fighting after that. This is something actually that I am still quite surprised that it's happening. In theory, there was something that says that you are not allowed to push a driver off the track or you will get penalized. This was something from last year. I don't know if they changed the rule or not. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't. However, you can see here Verstappen pushing Leclerc off the track. I mean, he went all the way into the curb and Leclerc didn't have any space. He had to brake. This is a penalty for me, or at least give the position back or something like this. Nothing. And by the way, it's not the only time that happened this during the Grand Prix. Perez did the same thing with Hamilton. Leclerc did the same thing with Perez. I mean, yeah, it's good for the show, but it's not legal according to the regulations of the F1, right? Anyway, let's continue. Norris got in front of Hamilton, so Hamilton finally overtook Norris. And by the way, Hamilton was the quickest car on track except for Verstappen, who his car got broken 1 lap after this happened. Sainz got in pressure from Verstappen, made a mistake. That's why some people are surprised that maybe he's not number 1 driver of Ferrari. But anyway, you can see here the differences. I mean, Verstappen was on the tail of Sainz when the DRS was available and everything, so he was gonna be swollen and overtaken by Verstappen at some point. He made the mistake, so he made it easier. And this is what happened afterwards. Verstappen apparently in turn 5, I think he reported, he touched the curb or something, or there was something on the floor, I think he said afterwards, that usually you try to avoid it. He didn't, so he tried to just go through it, got under the car, destroyed I think it was the left side of the floor, and his race was kind of over. He didn't have the speed anymore. He lost a lot of downforce performance of the car. That translated into Sainz overtaking him, Leclerc overtaking him, and going back. He thought it was a puncture. It was not. He was complaining a lot, but anyway, he got back to the 7th, 8th position in the end, whatever. So then got the interesting part of the race. Hamilton was coming like a rocket from behind. This is after the pit stops, and Sainz was slower than Leclerc. Leclerc was asking for permission from Ferrari to get overtaken, to overtake Sainz, but they told Sainz to speed up and everything. Leclerc was complaining. Hamilton was coming from behind faster. They were gonna get overtaken in the pit stops. So they stopped Sainz, and then they stopped Leclerc for hard tires. And Hamilton continued for quite a long time with the medium tire that was surprisingly holding up for him. There was an expectation that the window for the medium tire was going to be like between 21 and 27 laps. Hamilton did like 30 something, 33, 35, something like that. So after the pit stops, Leclerc was once again behind Sainz. And he was faster than Sainz. So finally the team gave up, or gave in, or realized that they could lose the race if they were not doing something about it. So Sainz let Leclerc pass through. However, this changed the whole thing, as Hamilton was closing in Sainz with tires that were like maybe 10 or 12 laps fresher than Sainz's hard tires. This happened. Ocon lost the drive, and he stopped the car just before the most dangerous corner in a very bad place. He could have gone to the left. He could have parked it actually here, which is the MotoGP pit lane, but he didn't. He parked it here, which is the worst place possible. Safety car. What does that mean? That it's lap 39, everybody was gonna go into the pits and put the soft tire for the last stint. Was the logical thing to do, right? Like almost everybody had hard tires. Whoever had a soft tire was going to be much faster, and there were not so many laps left. So Sainz went in, Hamilton went in, Perez went in, Norris went in, Alonso. I mean, everybody went in except for Charles Leclerc. This, for me, it's a really big mistake from Ferrari. Even though now they say, yeah, after the race, if you see, man, you had the same thing in Abu Dhabi last year. Hamilton didn't go in, had the hard tire. Verstappen went in, put the soft tire, safety car is off, boom. He was like a rocket passing Hamilton. And there's no chance that somebody with a hard tire is gonna hold someone with soft tires, which, by the way, he did quite surprisingly. So Sainz went in, Hamilton went in, and everybody went in. And what happened? Well, this happened. Sainz got in front of Leclerc. Hamilton, Perez, and Alonso was there to see if he could fish podium or something. But there was a huge fight between Leclerc, Hamilton, and Perez. You can see here they are fighting wheel on wheel. Sainz pushing Leclerc off the track. No penalties there. Nobody cared. Same thing with Hamilton and Perez. Nothing. And this is the overtaking of Perez to Leclerc. Soft tires, hard tires. Nothing to do. He already held. You see this? It was like 1 or 2 or 3 laps holding Perez behind. Which, by the way, gave Sainz the victory, because Sainz yesterday was not the fastest guy on the track. Perez and Hamilton were, and even Leclerc was. I mean, if Perez didn't have this issue in the beginning and had to change the whole front wing and everything, he could have been in the battle yesterday for winning the race. But he didn't. And this is another thing, like Leclerc was pushing Perez out of the track and Perez just didn't give a crap. In theory, the white lines, this was in the beginning of the season before Bahrain, whatever you want to call it. There was this manifest from the FIA saying that the white line was going to be the limit of the track. No yes here, yes no there. So if you have the four wheels off the white line, you need to give the position back. As you can see here, there's no doubt Perez was off the track, whether because Leclerc pushed him, because he didn't give a crap and he continued to accelerate here, doesn't matter. So then he came in, he pushed Leclerc wide and Hamilton went through. Was it legal? No. Was it good for the show? Yes, because you have three cars pushing each other to the maximum, to the limit. And so yeah, and then you have here again Perez pushing Hamilton in a kind of a kamikaze move where he went all the way to the curb, not giving any space to Hamilton to give the corner or to go through the corner. I mean, it's it was kind of chaotic. I think the FIA didn't want to penalize anyone because it was a good show, which is what FIA as F1 is all about since Liberty got it. Leclerc overtook Hamilton once again, and it took some time until Hamilton could overtake Leclerc finally in the back straight. By the way, just before this, in the Copse corner, Leclerc overtook Hamilton from the outside with the hard tires when Hamilton was with the soft tire. So, victory for Sainz, perhaps not deserved in this Grand Prix. Perhaps in Canada he deserved it more, or in Monaco, but he got it. First win after 150 Grand Prix. First win for him. And let's see how relations go in Ferrari, because I think Leclerc is very, very, very unhappy. And if you see the result, of course, after the war, everybody is general, right? But I think everybody knew that you had to put the soft tire because everybody else was going to put the soft tire. Ferrari's strategy, according to what they said, was that they always put the car in front, they leave it on track, and the one behind. This way, they ensure that at least one of the strategies is going to work, right? Well, yesterday it was kind of clear which strategy was the one that was have to gonna work, but it didn't. They didn't. They said it was too risky to make a double pit stop. And yeah, after the race, they said that yeah, maybe it could. Man, if Leclerc goes in and Sainz is behind, Sainz can go slower and hold Hamilton back a little bit to try to make the gap more than 4 seconds, which was the gap that Leclerc put on Sainz after like 3-4 laps. He was lapping much faster than Sainz. So doing that was kind of a really bad decision. They don't have a justification for that. I'm sorry for Ferrari, but they did a really bad decision. Not the first time this year, and I'm kind of sure it's not going to be the last one. They are dynamiting the chances of Leclerc for the championship. So, did I guess anything? Not pole position, not the victory, no Verstappen, no Perez, no Sainz. I didn't guess a single position over here because Alonso was P5, Norris was P6, Hamilton was P3, Russell did not finish there. I mean, it was a big mess, kind of difficult to guess in those conditions. And that's more or less what happened in the Grand Prix. What does the championship look like? Well, Sainz now overtook Russell, which didn't even start the race. Hamilton is closing on in Russell as well. Sainz is now P4 with the Ferrari. They are 11 points difference when the gap was like almost 50 or 47, something like this, some races ago, right? Just before Barcelona. And yeah, Verstappen got some points, rescued some points. Perez got some points as well, but as you can see, the difference is like a lot. So I think if nothing happens, Verstappen is going to win the championship. I think nobody has any doubts for that. And yeah, Mercedes, as showed the pace from Hamilton on the Grand Prix, looks like they gave a step forward with the new updates that they brought for the race. We don't know exactly how much. Russell didn't finish the race, and Silverstone is kind of like a Barcelona racetrack. Lots of high-speed corners and everything, so both racetracks very good for Mercedes. Is it gonna keep like this? Now I think Austria Grand Prix is coming, so we will see if Mercedes can keep the pace. And the quiz, what was the corner? The corner solution was cups. The famous corner where Verstappen was taken out by Hamilton, or where now Leclerc made an overtake from the outside, right? So there's a race next weekend. We will meet you there. In theory, according to the rumors, Porsche and Red Bull are gonna be announcing that they are gonna partner up for 2026 when the new engine regulations are gonna be coming. And more news and everything on Wednesday as per usual. See you on Wednesday then.